Okay, today we're just going to go over Void Rift Hard, phase 1 of 3. It's the first one and we should be able to get through it, so let's jump into the video. Hello and welcome, I'm Mystical, this is Mystical Gaming and we're back into Watcher of Realms, and today we're doing Void Rift Hard, easy for me to say, put my teeth in. And this is essentially, it's not overly that tricky, but we'll go through it and we'll just see what we do and we'll go from there. That's realistically it, and then we'll push on to the Nightmare and start clearing that out as well. Right. Some of these are already done on auto fights, so we'll just smash through them as quickly as we can, particularly the beginner ones. Now, essentially this first one, there is a couple of ways to do this. So you can either have a sacrificial lamb. So when these mobs come down here, they will explode. So you can put a sacrificial lamb down and just explode with them and they die off. So that's one way to do it. Another way to actually get around these mobs is just to put yourself up with a nice big shield. So Olag comes in very handy there. And then another way is we've got our Lord up here and he can place down a sacrificial lamb for us. We puts up that additional mob to help us out. So on either side, what we want is we want some AoE DPS going on. If you see those defenders come down, they're more susceptible to magic damage, so beware of that. But if your AoE is on the edges there, they will get taken up by the explosion. So we can put Setram down. Setram's very good, he's got a nice wide radius and he can sit comfortably in the middle there. So we see when the rock formation runs, that centre rung coming down through it straight in front of the healer always stays clear, so we can just put our people there and leave them there quite happily. So again, we use shields, we use sacrificial lambs on the top one, and then we can clear those exploding mobs out, and now it's just a case of clearing up whatever else comes along. You can put a hollow down and now she will help us get up our ultimates a little bit quicker, and then aid with a little bit of healing. There isn't much required, but we can always help out. It's always nice to have more healing than not enough, and that is a stage clear. It's not overly hard. You do need to have enough tanks, I think, more than anything else, but there's a couple of ways to do that. So we go on to the next fight. Tank goes down, healer goes down. Now again, we've got to bear in mind that we've got these defenders coming down. They've got the big shield, so they're fairly high in defense, not so high in magical defense. So you want to make sure you've got some magic damage coming down for them. Now the other thing we've got is we've got this poison going out, so we do want to watch it and be careful of that. Now we can overheal past it, it's doable, but it's much nicer if you bring a healer along who can cleanse off that poison. Now essentially a little while ago you could probably not worry so much about Midam, but if you've got her, definitely worth leveling up. She's not only useful around here, but she's also fantastic now for when you get onto your Gear Boss 2 raids. So that poison, was it the toxic acid that he puts down, you really do want to cleanse off. So Midam you can't sleep on for too long when you start to push out in these areas now, so you have to sort of bear that in mind. Now you can overheal through this at this sort of level, but as you get on to do the Nightmare, you do want to bring Midam with you, or at least a cleanser. I just say Midam because she's an epic, so she's more accessible than some of the others, but essentially it is just a cleanse off or a heal off in this fight. So if you've got a Midam, absolutely use her, she's well worth it. So we're into fight 3. Again, I'm using Setram, mostly because he has this nice range that gets out to the side for me and takes care of the boss before she wreaks too much havoc. She puts up the Still Stone summon. Now, I haven't used new fusion Micah, but I think she'd be absolutely fantastic with that Seal Stone going on. I believe she does extra damage to those people under a shield, so I think she'd be very usable here against this boss. In fact, anywhere through these levels where you see that boss, I think she's going to be very usable. Now, other than that, I put up some healers to actually, or some Healy tanks. They can both sort of heal a bit. particularly Wrath. He's very good on the top left. He actually looks after himself very well, and over on the right hand side you can't go wrong. You've got enough range and she can take care of the ads before they even really get to her. It's not too much of an issue for her. Takes a bit of damage, but it's nothing that she can't take care of by the end of the fight. I mean, that's the ads dead, so essentially it is just the other couple of mobs coming through. Those ones coming around the side, they're all taken care of. That's not an issue for us now. So she's done the work that we wanted her to do anyway, just by putting her up there. So a little bit of sustain, a little bit of tankiness can get you through that, and it stops the mobs jumping in. When they come out the other side, they're a lot harder to kill once they've been in the water and come out. So you can clear them off beforehand. It does make the run a lot easier, and then it's just enough range on the bottom left and right to make sure we can hit the boss and get rid of the boss nice and quickly. Right, let's move on. Okay, not the trickiest fight in the world, but we do want someone on the bottom right here. I've got Arrogance. Anyone who can be placed on the ground and hit air targets is what we're after, because you have a couple of aerial mobs coming along. Now, on the left hand side coming down, we've got the boss that will approach from the bottom left hand corner. She will slowly go up to the right. Now I slow her and I use Setram and I use Maul to actually just nuke her down. That is pretty much my technique for it. Again, she's got this shield that goes up, so if you've done the new fusion, I think she'd probably be pretty good here as well. Now once you've got that down, you can get rid of her shield, you can then start doing damage to her again, and we just about get her done beforehand. The only other thing you've got to be aware of is down on the bottom, is over on the right hand side, is you need a tank and a healer up there, just to make sure the other mobs don't get through. So once you've got rid of the boss, you can then start repositioning everyone, but it's sort of a DPS race to make sure that you can kill off the boss. Once that's done, you can then reorient where you want everyone and start placing them down, and that way you can then sort of deal with the boss's one fight, nuke the boss down, and then the ads are a separate fight, with the exception of this bottom lane on coming through. You just need someone down there who can take out, again, like I say, aerial units, but sits on the ground. So a fighter like Zilitude, Arrogance, they'll all be good there without too much of an issue. You can hopefully get some damage done from the left hand side coming across. Hopefully they can get some damage for you, but other than that, it's kill the boss, then kill the ads. That is it. Done and dusted. Let's move on. Now at last we're put through to the boss fight. So you need a couple of tanks, and you do really now want your mid-an out and about. She makes this a lot easier. Now place our tanks on the bottom rung. This is because you see that square around them. That is where the rock formation is going to go, and you can start leaving out room around him. Now you then want some magic AoE damage, because you have the little men walking along with the shields. Here they come down again, and you know that if they've got a shield on, they're going to be immune to physical damage, and then therefore we need to do magic damage to ourselves. Now just then we have Mid-An shoot off her cleanse, because the boss did the AoE poison on everyone. Should do it again later, but Mid-An pretty much cycles through her ability quite easily in timing with the boss. It's not that much trouble. There she goes again. Mid-An's almost there, and there we are. We've cleansed it off. So everyone goes green and starts taking this constant dot damage, and then we can cleanse her off. I use two healers, so I use Mid-An to cleanse off and keep the heals going, and I use Vortex to actually keep the heals and the shields going. Now the other thing you want is you do want some physical damage coming in, because the mobs coming down now, they take more physical damage than do magical damage, so do want to make sure that we've got some physical damage coming in. Here's a nice big rock fall from the boss, so mass damage there, but if you've got a Vortex there, he can place up a shield that will mitigate it. There's the poison gone out, and now unfortunately we decided to trigger off Mid-An before the poison landed because we're an idiot, but it's a short dot, and without additional damage coming in or additional mobs, then we can actually heal ourselves through it. Waiting for Mid-An again. There she goes, cleansed off, and everyone's good. But she absolutely a must in this, but you shouldn't feel worried about booking her up and maxing her out, because you're going to use her in Guild Boss 2 anyway, unless you've got other cleansers. There are other cleansers about, but they're legendary, so they're not as easy to get hold of. And that is essentially phase 1 done and dusted. It's not overly hard. It is probably more of a gear check before you go on to Nightmare, but we'll run through this and then we'll start battling our way through Nightmare as well. Nightmare's done on the other account, so we can show it if that's what you want to see. Just let me know down in the comments below. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it useful. So we'll just do one phase at a time, and then next video we'll do another phase and that sort of thing, so we can get it all sorted, and then you can just look at which bits you want to do, whether that's hard or whether that's Nightmare. Alright, thank you very much for your time. Please leave yourself a thumbs up, like and subscribe. That would help me out massively, and I'll see you in a video again soon. Cheers, goodbye.